Today is the 2nd of February 2020 and it is Amirah Khan recording on behalf of CICD for the Poshak Puralekh project, costume archiving. I have Priti Aunty here today. Priti Aunty, what is your name and how are you connected with CICD?
Hi, thank you for choosing me to speak about this. I'll try my best. My name is Priti Raithatha and my connection with CICD, Centre for Indian Classical, goes back to 1981 actually, when I saw massive photo on the front page of Leicester Mercury in 1981 that an Indian Kathak dance tutor had opened a school here, and it really evoked me so much, and I joined the Kathak school in August 1982, 10 months later, since Nilimaji started working in England, in Leicester. So that has been my involvement. I was very passionate about learning Indian classical dance, in particularly Kathak, the grace and everything. I just wanted to learn how to do that. So we found a wonderful teacher here, and I went for it. That's how I'm involved.
Thank you. When and where were you born and what is your background?
I was born in East Africa, Uganda, Tororo, a very nice place which was in East Africa. My parents had 10 children, and so I come from a very large Gujarati background. And in East Africa, culture was very important, upbringing was very important, especially how the daughters were brought up. So having 10 siblings with 8 sisters and 2 brothers, I think my mom had a struggle, though she did an excellent job to bring her daughters up. We're all very cultured, I should say, all very religious, all very respectful of our seniors. And once you learn that from young age, you can't leave that. That's how you are. And I suppose I value that a lot more now, because when you see the young generation, the modern world, you can have equality and all these things, but I think sometimes value and respect is a very important part of a person, and I'm glad my parents taught me that, and I'm still giving it to all my seniors. Not that I always receive it from our young generation, young students, because of the way their upbringing is completely different to our upbringing. We were taught domestic chores, education, housekeeping, everything. I believe you can't see many youngsters doing that even at 25. Some boys and girls don't know how to make a cup of tea. So, it's completely changed. So I value the way I've been brought up.
In terms of CICD, what is your involvement in the costumes?
Basically, my background before I came to CICD was dance, in terms of folk dance, because I was very much into dance from a very young age. From Africa, took part in dances. Navratri was a huge thing for myself. Dressing up for Navratri, expressing yourself, I believe, not realizing at the time. The most beautiful expressive art form is through dance. And with my background being as a folk dancer in communities that did Ras Garba competition in England, I played a huge part in this, working towards winning. Nothing else mattered. And our tutors were very old-fashioned, old school. You had to bend down to do everything, keeping your upper body straight. And this is what brought you the trophies at the end of the competition. And so pleased to say that usually every year, whenever I was involved in my Samaj or other Samaj or other communities, we won, whether it was presentation or costume or choreography. We won something or the other. So it was really, really nice. And when Nilimaji asked me what is my background, because I came as an adult, I came as a married woman to do Kathak, I told her my background was doing a lot of folk dances. And after that, we started doing folk dances at CICD. I collect my memory going back to Nilimaji saying, we've got a show, can you teach a garbo or a ras? And I remember myself doing this choreography because I had been involved in lots of choreographic work in Garba and Ras and other folk dances, but mainly Ras Garba. And then we would have a short group and we start going to performance, a few senior students like myself, to various functions because classical dance wasn't ready. The dancers were not ready. So when the demand for Nilmani Kathak Kendra, that's what it was called when I joined in, the same building, Nilmani Kathak Kendra, we couldn't produce classical dance in a day, but folk dances you can. And Bollywood wasn't even heard about, Bhangra wasn't even heard about. So anything was either classical or folk. So we started doing folk dances, and Didi started investing in folk dance costumes after that. And bless her, she got in so many folk costumes from various villages in India to represent different art forms like tipni or a bidla or a garba or a ghumar. I'd never heard of certain names which I learned in CICD, and Nilimaji provided us world-class training, I should say, inviting people who could teach us these art forms, and we would do showcases. And every time we had a showcase, it wasn't just classical, it was an amalgamation of folk and classical. So we would do Kathak and then some folk, Kathak and then some folk. So all the senior students and some really young, brilliant ones did Kathak, while the senior group like myself and other 5 I remember, we concentrated on folk dances. So we did lovely art forms, and every year Didi would go to India. She would invest in more folk dances, clothes in terms of costumes. That is why we have a huge collection of excellent costumes. I think you will not find these costumes anywhere, these amount. We've got over 1,000 costumes from Kathak to Ras to folk. So I remember the story of wearing different costumes for Lord Mayor's shows, for inaugurations, Diwali shows, even Republic Day shows. We did all sorts, and we tried to manage with all the costumes we had to represent cultures of India.
You mentioned quite a few different performances and shows that you've done then. So is there a particular costume or production that you remember the most vividly, that was the most maybe important to you?
There's quite a few actually. They've all been exciting projects because I wanted to dance, and all projects have always been very, very challenging and very, very exciting. We had Kathak, so we made beautiful long costumes for that, long dresses. And then we had Iviom, all the dresses were dhotis with different dupattas because we were representing the universe, all the planets. So that was an exciting project. And one of the very good ones we did was in conjunction with Shruti Arts, because they had Ashit Bhai Desai and his wife Hema Ben doing live music for us, and we had a choreographed pieces by Satish Bhai Shah, and those were amazing costumes and amazing music, and absolutely out of this world choreography by Satish Bhai Shah. I've never thought we could move like that. I just knew Garba or Ras, but when Satish Bhai taught us, he brought the best out of us, and that my love for folk dance became even huger So yes, there's lots of. We did seasons where we wore different colored saris to again represent seasons, like summer, rain, winter, autumn. Absolutely lovely colors. We had huge shows at the Leicester Haymarket, hundreds of them in Phoenix Arts. Initially it was in Moore Community College. We did a few at the local Belgrave Neighborhood Centre. We've done at various school shows. You know, there's memory. I'm trying to jog my memory, and the deeper I look, it's just such a big pothole that I don't know how much to remember, but we did loads of stuff. And most of the time we had new costumes because we had funding and people was so much into our culture. And basically, I must say that because this was the first dance school official in Leicester, people kept calling Nilimaji to do performances here, there and everywhere. We did garden parties, we did garden shows, summer parks, we did a few weddings, we did a few Mendi shows, which was in a small scale because now Mendi night is huge, but not at that time. But we brought it to life. We did everything.
And just a last question for you. What do you feel is the significance of the costumes to South Asian communities in Leicester?
I would say Leicester, but not just Leicester. Overall, anywhere. I think South Asian dance costume carry a huge message of our heritage and our art forms and how vibrant we carry our work in anything we do, because in India there's street dance about everything. Street theatre happens in India every other week, and these are from Ganesh Chaturthi to Durga Puja to Holi festival, Kite festival, Ramayan, Mahabharata, Krishna Janam, everything is done in street. And for people, all it meant was to get dressed in vibrant colors, silks, decorative jewelry, makeup, jewelry. It's all part and parcel of our culture, and it carries a huge message across Leicester or anywhere else of who we are. And I think it plays a huge role. I mean, for an example, I will not be able to wear a ballet dress and do Kathak, or vice versa, or wear a tutu and do Garba. It is so significant, if you know what I'm trying to say, you know. And I mean, for example, Ghumar, a dress for Ghumar is to depict the sandstorms in Rajasthan. And when those skirts whirl, almost you feel like there is a sandstorm because they carry a lot of material and a lot of weight. And dancers will do this on the floor and pirouetting minutes and minutes to depict rain. So everything depicts something, and we'll try and depict the characters. It depicts the characters as well. Ram, Sita, Naikas, children, animals. We can create anything in South Asian dance because, you know, like peacocks as well. We've got beautiful costumes of peacock here, and amazing when you look at these. You want to look at these people not just for the dance, but because of what they wear, because of the way they wear it. I think it's a huge significance to South Asian dance. We cannot change it. We can modernize it, but we cannot change it completely as far as I'm concerned. Tradition is tradition. You cannot change tradition. You cannot change culture.
Thank you so much for coming and doing this interview. It was lovely
My pleasure.
speaking to you today. Is there any other questions you have for me?
No, I think I've tried to cover everything in a short phase of time. I'm glad it's a very successful journey at CICD, for CICD and for myself. I still continue to teach for CICD as one of Nilimaji's senior students. and I borrow costumes for my work all the time because I don't have my own collection. And to show a small performance in a small scale, you still need costumes. Otherwise, it's not going to look like a professional dance school. So it's been a wonderful journey, and I hope it carries on for many more years to come.
Thank you very much.